less next time, although we can't possibly screw it up as badly as the city is screwing this up.
And
welcome to the This Week in Worcester podcast. I'm Tom Marino, editor of This Week in Worcester. I'm here with Mr. John Edward Keogh. He is executive producer of Managing Media. He is the president of Hollywood Film Group. He is a valued and well-respected contributor to This Week in Worcester. I don't know. I didn't have anything planned.
Well respected.
I respect you. And you, I don't know if anybody else does, but I do. What's going on, Mr. John?
Nothing much, man. Nothing much. It's a slow week in the world of Worcester politics, for sure.
But something I just realized just a minute ago will get me yelling today. That's for sure. It's like,
there's always something.
It's been a good few weeks since I had a good yell. But I mean, I just can't. I just cannot. How is I meant to ask you before we get on here, but how is said Firehouse documentary going?
Oh, it's actually coming along pretty good. So we actually have we're shooting in Westwood on the 15th of December, and so that'll be the final point. Then we have to do some voiceover stuff. We're gonna actually do that with Mike Shue of 100 FM The Pike, so we're kind of excited about that. We got a composer, this guy Sasha Shaban, who he did Get Out and he did Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. So he's writing an original score for the movie, and he's doing it for basically nothing. So that's super helpful. So it's starting to come along. It's starting to happen. It will probably, we think we're going to have picture lock, which is like finish the actual film by before Christmas, probably.
That's excellent. That's excellent. I am excited to see it because, well, it's rage-inducing, and that's kind of how I roll.
It's say that again.
I said it's rage-inducing, and that's kind of how I roll.
Oh yes, it definitely is going to make people very upset. That is definitely for sure. There's no doubt about that. This movie, you will come away not happy with the city of Worcester. But it is what it is. We're kind of used to this now.
Yeah, and of course, the response from the city will be, "Oh, why did you say these things that are true?"
Yeah, well, I mean, to be honest with you, the city. Well, hold on. The fire department, Chief Dyer and Assistant Chief Roach, they worked with us, but the city manager's office really, just wasn't great about it, right? It was a push and pull, and was like fighting with them for no reason, for no apparent thing. Which, by the way, technically, because it's the fire department, we didn't even have to ask. We could have just gone and filmed whatever we wanted. It's a municipal department. You're legally allowed to film anybody in the act of doing their job
in public areas.
In a public area, right? So you couldn't go upstairs, right, where they live, but you could film the downstairs, and there's really nothing they could do about it. But we decided to do it the right way, and even that we got pushback from the city, and it was like, okay, and I get part of it was because, part of it's probably because they're always worried that I'm going to say something bad about them. But the thing is that they do things like this to not let it. So Fall River was great. The fire department of Fall River basically gave us, unfettered access. And then the Westwood Fire Department, again, but similar to Worcester, City of Boston hasn't let us in, which is wild because the same people want to then have the Last Call Foundation and all those folks go do things about firefighters who have passed away. And they want to celebrate when someone passes away, or they want to celebrate, awards and all that kind of stuff, but they don't want people to know what they're not doing right. It's truly wild. Truly wild.
And I don't know how this became so endemic in government. All that matters is public perception, not anything in reality. Everything in reality doesn't matter.
Right.
Rather than deal with the problems, let's just cover them up. Or let's just say, we don't have the financial ability to do this, build a new fire station or whatever it might be, right? Transparency is being honest. Just be honest. Just tell the truth.
Yeah, it's true. So, Pastor Rizzuti, the movie's called "Burning Down the House" and it's Burnin with an apostrophe, burning down the house, which you can find it on Facebook. Right now, there's a Facebook page up. The movie will probably come out in the early springtime. So we got to do a bunch of stuff to finish it, and then we're working with some theater chains to put it into the theaters, and that takes some. That's my job. I do a lot of that kind of stuff, and so that takes a little bit, a lot of negotiation about where it's going to be. We want to do the premiere in the city of Worcester, and so we want to do it with some venues that are local, and so trying to figure out where that's going to be and how that's going to look. So it'll just take a little bit, but probably springtime. The trailer will probably be out right around the new year. The trailer will come out right around the new year. And the trailer is wild. It's wild. It's insane. Insane that any firehouse is like that. It's not just that. I mean, if you remember, this goes back to when they were starting to redo the schools, right? And if you remember, actually it was Councilor Russell made this big time speech about several of the elementary schools that had like plastic sheeting on the windows for elementary.
I think it was just one. I think it was just Roosevelt.
Yeah, Roosevelt? You're right. It was one school, but it was a couple of different classrooms. That's what it was.
Yeah.
It was a few different classrooms. And that school had been like that in that shape for some time. It wasn't like it just happened and Councilor Russell stood up. It was just that, it had been going on for some years. And the people who were working to get the school fixed were like, told by the city, shut up. And then, Councilor Russell made kind of a big stink. And then, Mayor Petty, who now takes credit for those schools getting fixed, he kind of got in line once the public pressure kind of got in line. And so, and it's not to say that the work they've done on the schools is bad. It's good. It's just that when you determine one public building is going to be a certain way, and you also say that another public building is going to be the other way, it's a policy choice. So they've actually made a policy choice, and they've made it this dichotomy where they've said, we're only going to fix the schools, and then once we fix the schools, we'll fix the fire station. That's not how it should be. It shouldn't be one or the other. It should be, no, that's definitely not happening. It is, we should be able to fix all these things. Other thing too is I still think with South and with Doherty, they spent way too much money. And when you start to look at the books, you can see some of these things that they overdone it. I'm not trying to keep any of the construction people from getting their salary. Go ahead, get their salary. But there should be efficiency in these things, and also the state should be involved. Union Hill School was really, really, really bad back in the day, as it was. It was really bad. But those are the kind of things where we should, as a community, that becomes like the priority, versus some of the other things that go on or things that become important. And then when Tom and I talk about how bigger companies kind of get deals like these TIF districts and these DIF districts and all this other stuff, and you see monies being not brought in from those, but over here we're spending money. These are all interconnected things that are related to policy. They're policy choices.
Well, let's get on to our agenda. Let's take a little voyage, kids.
Before we do that,
yep.
I don't know who of you guys have read the article that Tom and I put out on the church raids, and this is not like a happy thing. It's not a happy thing at all. But last week they did one of the raids that I had reported about, and all the people said that the sourcing, they wanted me and Tom to release our sources, but it's
not never.
Huh? No, not never.
Not never.
Not never. I just wanted to point out, I don't want this to happen. Part of the reason that I wrote it when I was talking with Tom in the editing process, right? It was I hope that they read this and maybe they don't do it. I don't want. Yeah,
it's out there. People be looking for it. It's not worth it anymore. Was
right.
If that was what would happen, I mean, great. So what if people will say we lied, whatever? I don't care.
Yeah.
if we knew it was true, what we were reporting, that was the plan. And if they then didn't do it, great.
It was just funny when, so, like when Tom and I were doing it, we had to talk to like spokespersons from the Department of Justice and like all these other people. Right. And, the thing about it that really struck me was that the DHS denied it, said it wasn't happening, although they said, but we reserve the right to do it. And then when they did the raid in New Orleans last Wednesday, the person who put out the statement about the church being raided was the Department of Homeland Security. So it was just, they denied it, qualified it, and then they were the ones that announced it like they did something, good, like it was a good thing. And it's not to say that, I think that whenever people argue now about, whether or not we should be talking about, immigration and the conversation around it, I don't know that I have seen anybody, Tom, and maybe you can correct me on this, that says you don't want someone who's a criminal to be removed from society, right? That like whatever that thing is, most people say, yeah, that's true. But then when you see the actual numbers that they put out, not John's reporting or anything like that, this is their numbers, then you see these crazy wild statistics that like 75,000 people that they've picked up are not criminals at all. Not just like they weren't even people who crossed the border illegally. They actually legally crossed the border, and then their paperwork wasn't being handled right, or they didn't renew something on time. So the whole argument about, whether it's a federal crime to cross the border illegally doesn't matter if they did cross it legally and then they just happen to be in a country that we have a really wildly inefficient immigration system that doesn't allow them to fill out their paperwork on time. And then we're going to arrest that person and treat them the same, right, as we say we're treating violent criminals, while at the same time escalating violence in the actual interactions between government officials and the people that we say are now a problem, right? Meanwhile, the vast majority of those people, Tom, are just being housed. They haven't been deported. They're being housed in private prisons. And Of course, a bunch of those private prisons are owned by, super donors, not just to the Republicans, but Democrats too. That people got to deal with that. That's hard to answer, but there's several in California that are by major Democratic donors, and it is what it is. Core Civic is one of those kind of companies. They have, they take money they put money into both parties. That's all you need to know about those prisons. And so, that's like a really weird place to be. And then Tom and I being kind of at the point of it with this article and how important it was. Just so you know, we weren't the first people that this article was told to. It was told to other major publications. The reason why they came to Tom and I was because one of our sources believed that we would protect them. Specifically knew that Tom and I would do whatever we could to make sure that we wouldn't tell the sources. And they came at us with all power. Like Tom was getting phone calls from people who were church groups and I was getting those calls, and it was wild. Meetings, Zooms, all kinds of crazy stuff. And it was hard to like figure out who was telling the truth or not. But so anyways, just in this season, I think that it's important just to realize that there is some people in the media trying to tell the truth, right? Whether you think we have a bias one way or the other, it doesn't really matter when the actual facts then on the ground work out exactly how we said they would. So,
yep. Just for clarity here. So what people like to do is they like to play the games with the word criminal, right? Yeah. They say, oh, well, they're breaking immigration law. That makes them a criminal, right? And like, look, most people, I don't know if this is still true. I don't know if it flipped back like post-COVID or not, but prior to COVID, the estimate was that for the first time, it was sometime well before that, 2010, 2012 or something. I feel like I remember, but I'm not exactly, I don't remember exactly. But at some point, it had flipped where more people were now in the country unlawfully because they had overstayed,
right,
than crossing the border. I don't know if that's changed since because COVID changed all the dynamics of that, right? But understand, when somebody overstays a visa, that is not a felony, and that is not a misdemeanor. This is a civil infraction. This is a speeding ticket.
Right.
Right?
Same as exactly. Should be treated the same as a speeding ticket. 100%.
Yeah, I mean, it is largely the same as a speeding ticket. And so, to say that somebody who's overstayed a visa is, and somebody who crosses illegally the first time, that is a misdemeanor.
Mm.
So, that is, I don't know, pick any misdemeanor, right? So, look, multiple administrations in a row had a wide open border. I don't want to say wide open border. First of all, the border is huge and it's going to be impossible to defend always. It always will be impossible to defend. And if you think a big, dumb, stupid wall is going to fix anything, you're just not right. And
what about floating laser drones?
Yeah, alligators. What a stupid other thing he said.
A moat. I like the idea of a moat.
So the border is always going to be impossible to wholly defend. It's not like you just wave a magic wand and suddenly you don't let anybody in. But I mean, multiple administrations. I mean, look, the Reagan administration, the bastion of neoliberalism and the neoliberal brain rot, did amnesty and then didn't really change any enforcement mechanisms.
Yeah.
So by and large, the door's been left open for a generation.
Yeah.
And now you want to go back and retroactively punish the people that walk through the open door? Yeah. It's the ultimate punching down.
Not only
that, the ultimate example of punching down.
You created an incentive for people to come by doing several things that depressed at least Mexico. A lot of the kind of northern Western Hemisphere policy that we've enacted over years, whether it's political or economic, has really forced Mexico and the Central American economies to be depressed for not just for a small period of time. Now we're talking about economies that have been kept down forcibly by American corporations for 100 years. Let's just use 100 years as an easy way to look at it. And so
more, but
more, but and I'm just saying, Panama Canal time, I guess, is my
that's where I'm going.
Yeah. My reference point. And the reason why I bring that up is that how do you expect people to want to stay in their own countries when you also promote yourself as the economic engine of the world, and you critique in almost all form. And this crosses all party lines. This is Democrats, Republicans have been talking about third world countries and narco states and all this other language for 100 years. They've been talking about these countries as if they're backwards and backwater, and then and whether it's racism or imperialism, all the different things that kind of go into that thought process has existed for a long, long period of time on both sides of the political divide, I guess, right? And so how if you're a kid watching TV, for example, in Guatemala, and your parents aren't making $1 a day, and you see an American commercial that portends this amazing land of opportunity, what are you going to do? I mean, seriously, it becomes a real driving factor that we've by policy made a choice, and then now we're going to hold those people responsible for the things that we've been putting out. It doesn't make a lot of sense. It just doesn't. It doesn't.
I mean, should I even respond to him?
No.
It's so funny to me that right-wing people...
You literally just said it, Tom, and he's so ignorant he didn't hear you.
It's amazing to me that right-wing people, it's so trendy to just poop on Border Patrol people. Because, I mean, what about all those people that were in Border Patrol at that time? Were they not doing anything? Are they losers? Losers in law enforcement? It's so trendy to poop on them, to crap on FBI people, and anybody in law enforcement that you feel like because of the whims of dear leader. But then you point out facts about the Worcester Police Department, and this guy's talking about AI video.
Yeah, but also at the same time, he's literally didn't listen to you You just before he put the comment, this guy. I just had this conversation with him the other day. He
Well,
doesn't.
remember, they're delayed. They're going to get it a few seconds after.
Yeah, he just wants no. But even with the delay, he knows what he's doing. He's trying to provoke you, and it's just ignore him at this point. I told him this. I told him more and more. I'm going to just ignore him because his statements are ludicrous. You literally just said open border.
I'm not gonna go through the whole thing because I did this once before here. But last I knew, at least, most of the those showing up at the border were from El Salvador, Guatemala, and Honduras, quote the Northern Triangle in South America. And those are three countries that the United States has overthrown twice in the last century. I forget which one now. I want to say El Salvador was in a civil war for 30 years after one. I mean, they were in civil war for longer than they've now been out of civil war, right? They are failed countries, largely because of American policy and intervention.
Yeah, I agree with you.
We're reaping what we sow.
Yeah, it's our responsibility. You can't say you want to be the leading nation on earth and then contribute to other nations being terrible and then not take responsibility for that behavior. You can't have both ways. Like, America's the greatest, and we're gonna overthrow. Like, listen, what's going on with Venezuela right now?
Stupid.
Listen, Nicolas Maduro is horrible. There's no one. There is not a person in the United States. There's nobody ever that's gonna go, yeah, dude, I think Nicolas Maduro is like a solid dude, and I want him to be I want him to be in charge. No one's saying that. But you can't start literally bombing and threatening land military exercises and expect there to be no repercussions for a country who's already economically has been in the toilet for 40 years because of us, right? So you can't what do you expect is going to happen? Positive things are going to happen. People are going to be happy with us? No, of course. The policy. The policy is it is what it is. You just and the comments are just unnecessary and pointless to argue with because, again, they don't know what they're talking about.
So funny thing, I just found the attachments.
Oh, nice.
I'm gonna still yell about it though because it's just dumb.
What are they on, like the HTML thing?
Oh yeah. I didn't even know that was there. So now this page is all screwed up. Hold on, we're gonna take a little voyage to the city website for a second.
Going to the website and where
I'm gonna narrate because there's actually people that listen to us audio only, so I'm gonna narrate a little bit. Sorry if that's obnoxious, but I'm gonna screen share here. And so wait, no, we want this. Yeah, all right. So you go to the city website, right, and you pull up city council because you want to look at the agenda for this week, and you have. Legal advertising.
It was in the three dots.
Yeah. So you see agenda and pre-meeting pack, and I click on both of those, and there's no attachments. So none of these things, the reports and whatnot, I'm like, what is this? We're doing this now. Like, this is what we're going to do now? Is we're not even going to include any of the documents because they don't actually have to.
Mm-hmm.
They can just put out the agenda without any information, then make you FOIA the records request, the rest of anything you want from there, which is what they do with boards and commissions, specifically the Human Rights Commission. And so I click on both of these notes. I'm ready to start streaming on this here podcast. And then if you click these three dots next to it, the HTM agenda, which is I didn't even really notice that was there. Then you can get that, and then you can get to the PDF download with the links you to attachments. This not having a web-based, like you have to download the PDF and it's not online like it used to be, is really irritating to me. They had that when they moved to this new system briefly, and then they stopped it. I don't know why. But
So the thing is that okay. So the thing, if people want to follow along on the city on the agenda for city council, it's items. We're looking at items 19A and 19B are going to be the ones that we want to look at, and so 19A is the report related to the police department's overtime and details, policies, and procedures, which was prepared by Clifton Larson Allen, which is kind of one of the audit things that the city uses a lot to prepare these kind of reports. So it's 68 pages long. It's not like it's a small report. And then the well, hold on. Actually, I don't know which one's 68 pages. Is this one? Oh no, the overtime one's 18 pages. The body camera one is 68 pages.
Yeah, so we were unprepared because we didn't read it because we didn't know it was there until just now. And I was like, hey, 3 dots. I mean, maybe that's my stupidity, but can we go back to the web? You know, you can read the item and then just click to get the attachment. I don't need to download your agenda every 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And then I download it. I don't know where it is. It's got some weird name. So then I go download it again. Ugh. So yeah, it's a rather I don't know. There's nothing of real interest on the agenda. I mean, they're going to do tax classification. That is of interest, but or it seems like they're going to do. I don't know. They thought they were going to do that last week, and then they held it. So we'll see. But nothing all that interesting otherwise. Besides those 2 reports, which again we haven't read because we just found them. So I imagine we also won't have, because of what's on the agenda, I imagine we won't have public speaking issues this week because I don't think there's much to talk about. Still not over that they wouldn't let some people talk online, though. You know, if you're concerned about, I think if councils are concerned about timing of the meetings, that they should file less orders because none of them happen anyway.
Yeah, I'm with that. So in the case of these 2 items, these 2 specific items, I think for lack of a better way to approach this, I think that there's wide consensus on the overtime policy that there needs to be a more comprehensive communication to the public, right? I think that that's been kind of accepted at this point, right? So that's why this order was not like rejected. It was, I'm pretty sure it was voted. It was as so ordered. It wasn't even voted. There wasn't even an up and down vote on this original request by Councilor King. And then for the body worn camera, which I believe was an order that Councilor King had and then was put into public safety, and then public safety had it for a while. And I forget, I think we covered this earlier this year, and then it came out of public safety. And I think it was 7-3, if I remember. I don't remember exactly, but it
on
also
what?
On the body worn camera thing.
Oh, okay.
I think Kate Toomey, Donna, and Mo voted against it. Voted against saying, basically they said they accepted the chief's statements on it and they didn't need another additional report. But then the mayor said, what's the problem of getting the report? And I think it was 7-3 was the vote to get this to the city manager, who then got the, asked for the report from the auditing firm.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, is very interesting because if I do remember this. So there were 61 incidences, and 38 of them there's no body worn camera. 61 incidents that were determined to be the reviewable ones, and then of it, more than 50% of them they did not have an actual recording because the officers determined that they didn't need to activate their cameras. And so now, if you remember, the chief of police said, well, we're telling them, our training is basically telling them to activate the cameras basically whenever. Right. Just, it's almost always, yes, if you're interacting with somebody, you should activate the camera. But it turns out that they're not doing that, at least in the sample. That's 61 incidents that they reviewed. That doesn't mean that was the full breadth of body worn camera incidents.
Yeah. It was a survey.
Right.
Yep.
So it's an important conversation to have. And it goes to Tom's point about this website. It's like, this is information that to truly read this, I mean, again, it's 68 pages. I'm going to have to spend some time like parsing through it. That 61 thing is on the first page, so I can talk about it. But really digging into this is going to take a long time. And then on top of it, I don't think they have the actual body-worn cameras attached to this report, which means now each incident, if you wanted to review it, media or an individual or a lawyer or whoever, you now have to ask for the camera that goes with the. It's like, man, it's just a fight tooth and nail when it should just be very simple and very easy.
Yeah, they and of course they can release all that.
They should just. I think there should be a database that, and they love talking about evidence.com. They should just put every body worn camera up there, If they have to redact it for a juvenile, fine, that's fine. They could just say that. You don't have to.
Well, that's not. I mean, that's not practical. But I mean, anything that just release it. Just release it.
I mean, I think I understand when you say it's not practical. I think like high profile incidents you could get up there pretty quick, but the I guess the lower profile, like this kind of stuff, right? The ones that maybe we don't realize are like a big deal for anybody. Just set a time period. If you think like, oh, we can't do that in a week, okay, set a time period that, after 30 days, they'll be available or something like that. And then you take less pressure off this idea of, oh my God, how much time are we going to have to review this one because we got to redact it because there's a teenager in the vote. There's so many excuses and it's like stress that they're causing themselves for no reason when there could just be a very simplified policy to release this information and everybody would be, you would have less confrontation with people like you and me or anybody else who disagrees because you would just be like, all right, well, the video is already out. We already released it. We were transparent. So just look at the video, and then people can make their own determination whether the video says what we say it says or it doesn't. Then that's a different conversation.
Yeah. And I mean, look, when do we find out about these cases? When they go to court?
Yeah. When someone sues. Yeah. Or when someone goes to jail, right? Exactly. It's always when we and
well, we don't even find out. Usually, don't even find out that there's even allegations of wrongdoing until there's a lawsuit filed.
Right. A lawsuit's filed, right? And to me, I think you would want to be progressive in your transparency to the point where you're just like, hey, I want to go ahead of the game and just get things out. I get if there's like a capital crime committed on a camera, like a murder or something like that. I understand that has to be handled in a certain way. I get it. I like everybody understands that, but it's almost like they argue that we have this wildly dangerous city that's one of the worst in America when it comes to whether they want to release information, but then they want praise on the other side and say, but we're one of the safest cities in America. Right. So it's like, what are you saying? Like, they contradict themselves on this all the time.
Well, and they also overuse the ongoing investigation exemption in the records law because that's only supposed to be if it would compromise the investigation. Well, a body cam video is not going to compromise the investigation. They're going to get that. The other, the defendant, or if they're suing the plaintiff, whatever the situation is, they're going to get that in discovery anyway.
It's always
and the public records office, or the whatever the records office that determines if you appeal, they've said that many times, like, oh, this is an ongoing investigation, and they respond with, okay, but how does it compromise your investigation? Because it doesn't. So release it.
Right. But it's hard. It's hard. I agree with you. It's just, to me, I'm in the thing is just release everything, just get it out and then deal with the repercussions of getting it out. Don't fight for no reason. You know what I mean? Like I have an ongoing public records request right now. It's related to a story that, Tom and I are working on, but it's related to the live use technologies, those devices they were using to play music, classical music, to under the Green Street Bridge, and then they had a camera in it. And so I put in a public records request for a bunch of stuff that I got a tip basically that there was messages back and forth for different things, and so I had to be real specific, like whose phone, like what app they were using to send the messages. And so I've been working on this story. Anyways, they found the records, and it's a lot. It's like a huge amount of stuff, right? And so they're, I think they, the last message, I'm actually looking at the public records thing right now. Basically, I'm going to receive a response this week, but they also, in the meantime, they had their staff changed in the middle of this process, and so it's a big time thing. And to me, the information that I'm asking for, they should have just put it out.
Yeah, and I mean, and they're quick to send you a bill. Send you it'll cost this much now, and that's a new development that rarely happened prior, unless it was body camera video. Yeah. If it's body camera video, that's real time, and somebody's going to take redacting stuff or whatever. But on most documents, I forget what it was for. I forget what video it was for. It was so long ago now. but I dropped a $100 money order off at the law department, and they didn't end up using it. And I was just like, just keep it. I'll use it eventually. And I still haven't used it, right? Because I just, because the people that were there were, although overworked and overburdened, were pretty good in my view. I had left them. So
you have an account an account credit with them. That's great.
Oh God. And you know what it's going to be now, because the person I gave it to, I believe is on leave or gone, or I'm not sure. Now they're going to be like, oh, well, we don't have it.
Yeah, we lost it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just interesting that, I just, if the city manager though has made these public statements after Ed Augustus left, and he said that one of his goals is to be the most transparent city government Worcester's ever had. And he's
I don't believe him.
And he's repeated that claim at both of his State of the City addresses and multiple times on the city council floor. And what's happened, and we're not the only ones who've experienced this, but a ton of people have had the same exact experience as you and I, in that, it's harder and harder and harder to get stuff that should just be available. There's no reason to fight all this. And like you said, redacting things in real time, where you have to, I get it. We get it. We all understand, like the Eureka Street thing. We get that it took them a couple of weeks to get it out. I understood that. I wasn't upset that it took them that long. I recognized how high profile a case it was. And so they needed to, make sure that they covered all their bases. I get it. We all get the CYA nature of municipal government, right? But they're doing themselves a disservice by doing it this way. I'm sorry, excuse me.
And I hate to tell you, but this is the effect of having an appointed and not elected leader.
That's a huge part of it, man. It's a huge part is that we just don't have, and our elected officials really just don't hold the unelected side of the government accountable. They just don't.
So, they have no interest. They have no interest in doing so.
And even when you if you
the majority at least,
the majority, but also if you wanted to talk about other city councils that do hold them accountable, they're only one or two, and it's hard for them to hold every person accountable in the city government. So it's you can't ask I'll use Councilor Russell because people expect me to use other people. I'll use Councilor Russell. I have thought that Councilor Russell is one of the best people when it comes to the budget process because he actually asks questions. Now, questions that he asks are about specific things that are in his interest area. Mm-hmm. So I get that. But at least he's asking questions about the actual line items in the budget. And I will say that not this, he's one of the only counselors, not just in this council session, but in the last 30 years to ask these kinds of questions. And we're not asking them to, I'm not asking you to go hold Tim McGordy over every single box in the Excel spreadsheet, but, I do want questions to be asked. When he asked about the parking stuff around Polar Park a couple weeks ago, the city manager reacted on his face like that was a problem. And and it took Tim a few minutes to get it up in his computer, but he was ready to answer the question. So it's just why is that such a hard thing to do? So to get our elected officials to hold these unelected people accountable, I don't understand it, Tom. It's just the fight is unnecessary. It's unnecessary. They're hoping,
and God forbid anybody gets pulled into a committee meeting and asks some real questions.
Yeah. And by the way, I feel like you and I both have had very productive committee meeting times where I've gotten in. The report that went out on the drones, and I understand that some people voted against it, but the questions that ended up on that report were mine. They were my questions. They weren't the questions of the Public Safety Committee. They were mine because I went and I attended and I put on there and I really argued back and forth. And actually, the police department didn't disagree with me, which was wild, right? Because I wasn't asking for anything crazy. I was trying to understand what the hell does the drone do when it's floating over the building? Does it just sit there? How does it get the information to the office? I'm interested in what the actual thing does. And they said that they were ready to provide the information. And of course, that's why it ended up getting voted out. And then then a bunch of the councils voted against it, which, I guess they just didn't understand what I was trying to do there. So, but that's okay. It is what it is. Those are good things to happen. And when that report comes back for the new council, I think there's going to be a robust conversation about the cost of those drones. And I think that's the only.
No, they won't.
Huh?
No, they won't.
Well, at least there will be with me. At least I can say that. I'll read the report, Tom. I'll get into that attachment. I
mean, the next council is going to be a disaster, especially in all things police.
Yeah, it's going to be. I said this on TV. If you go look at the preview for the Central Mass Chronicles, Hank asked me what I thought was going to happen, and I said, well, there's going to be a lot of kumbaya, and everybody's going to be, you did a really great job, and you did a really good job. But the city council isn't going to do anything.
It's a compliments battle. Have you ever seen a rap battle where they do compliments instead of diss each other? City council is a compliments battle.
It's going to be a compliment. It's like, I want to thank my colleague for that question. Well, okay, great. Meanwhile, some of the things that are important. By the way, when it comes to like the civilian review board, I am a person that I want additional oversight. Obviously, that's something that people know about me. People know that about Tom. I think that there's more a deeper conversation that needs to take place. But at this point, they already have the 6 votes against it publicly. There's 6 people who have already said we're never going to vote for this. We're going to vote against it. And so my statement to Councilor Rosen or Councilor-elect Rosen was, what's the point of even wasting our time with the conversation? Why even bring it up on the agenda?
No, I have a much bigger point about that.
Yeah, sure.
So, I didn't think we would talk about this. As you said, there's enough votes to kill it, and they will. They're not going to do a civilian review. But if your opposition is to civilian review, then where are the alternative proposals?
There are none.
And the lack of alternative proposals tells me that the opposition is to oversight itself, not civilian review. It's to oversight.
Yeah, they don't want
to oversight, and that's one, terrifying, and two, it's not even un-American isn't broad enough. It is like un-Western civilization. Like, the dawn of oversight was the Magna Carta, for Christ's sake.
Isn't that part of what our country was supposedly founded on, was this idea of checks and balances and all? It's just funny because all of that's been dismissed a long time, at least in our lifetimes. No one wants to do that kind of oversight.
No.
But the thing is that, you guys are more than welcome to reach out to Councilor Rosen about this and ask him these questions. But I definitely put his feet to the fire on TV the other day. And what I said was, and what I'm going to continue to say all year is, how can you say that this council is going to get anything done that is important if there's already a bunch of votes on significant issues? And I'm not just talking about civilian oversight. We're talking about how to hold developers accountable, for example. That's a perfect one, right? Whether or not there's going to be like a report back from a hotel developer or a large building developer on what they've done X, right? They don't even want to do that, even though they'll then complain about those buildings, right? And they'll complain about them not coming to the city. But then when we ask for civilian oversight on that, they won't do it. They just passed this thing on the last election about, trying to force the colleges into a pilot program. They spent a ton of money on that, which, by the way, is illegal.
I don't know. Did they spend any money on it though?
There was some campaigns that spent some money on it to do something that you can't. It's an unenforceable question, right? And so it's like, and then we spent time during the year of the last session having conversations back and forth about that issue and getting it onto the ballot. And then they knew then it was set on the council floor. This is a non-binding resolution. It has
non-binding questions are fine,
right?
But like, the state house is never going to vote to allow you to do that ever.
But not only that though, the people that you would want to get involved, the colleges themselves, expressed publicly how pissed off they were. So like they don't, and again, and also it was like misinformation. And this goes to, again, legislators can say whatever they want. City council can lie, cheat, and steal on the floor of the council. There's literally no mechanism to deal with them being dishonest other than the media telling people, hey, they said this and it's actually this. There's no actual rules or things to hold them accountable for that other than the ballot box. You vote them in, you vote them out. That's it. That's the only thing that holds people accountable. But in that case, what it turns out is there are some schools that do pay into the pilot program already. Yeah. But of course, it was presented as if, no, there isn't any. And then what it is that it turns out there's one really big one that doesn't pay anything, right? And so that, or relative to the size of their endowment. And that the conversation should be about that. But you won't ever hear the city councils really come out against that, right? You'll never see that kind of deal. And so they don't even want soft power accountability, Tom, where they use the bully pulpit to kind of influence people. They want to do everything kind of behind closed doors, secret deals,
Yep.
Friday meetings in their robes with their candles in the mayor's office.
And I'm close to a point where I'm going to say more, but I'll just for now leave it at that. And I have a plan to deal with that.
Yeah. I know you do. And so I think I think you're going to see that. So Josh, to answer your question, that was like a long winded way to answer it. The answer is that I don't know that you're going to see a lot. I know there's some issues that people seem to think are important. I know Ben White has said on the radio that this is the most the most crucial council in the last 20 years. The problem is that crucial in what way? They're not going to do anything. Like they've already told you what they're going to vote on a bunch of the issues. So then we're left with potholes and street namings. and of course, that's kind of what they ran on, was like, yeah, we're going to get back to potholes and street namings. Now,
and not controlling our employees.
Yeah. Anybody who's lived in the city of Worcester knows that the last 50 years knows that they haven't ever figured out the potholes. And when it comes to the street namings, it's someone they're related to or someone that put a bunch of money into their campaign coffer. So that's what you can look forward to the next 2 years is a lot of, let's put your cousin's name up on a sign and let's do this. And that, that's really what you're going to get, because I don't know that you're going to see any actual real thing happen. And then as they said, we talked about this multiple times, but Councilor Bergman and Mayor Petty both took credit for the ADU as one of the major accomplishments of this last session. But they didn't accomplish anything because the state overrode what they did. And so
because their ordinance was weak, and then the state passed a statewide bill and it was much stronger and overrode most of it.
And then another one of their big accomplishments was to vote down the sprinkler ordinance, the 26I, or 26I. And it was just the other day, Mariano up at the House. One of the things that came out of committee was statewide implementation of the sprinkler ordinance, which we all said was going to happen because Ray Mariano is the king of Massachusetts.
Not Ray, Ray Mariano. Ray.
Yeah, sorry, the other guy. But the Speaker of the House is the king of Massachusetts, and whatever he says goes. And so now they're going to roll out this statewide implementation of the sprinkler ordinance, and this city council was celebrating how they stopped it. It's just what a waste of time. And realistically, it was only just to oppose Attell. It was just to oppose one councilor. It had nothing to do with fire safety or caring about firefighters or caring about people's houses or anything like that. It was just because Attell was the person who brought it up that they wanted to vote it down. And now we're going to have the state say, oh, well, it doesn't matter. We're going to put it into place anyways. And in this case, because it's a public safety thing, I don't think that they even have to vote it through. I think the state rule just overrides the municipal ordinance, so it doesn't even matter. They don't even get to say on the floor that they accept it.
No, I don't think. Well, I mean, it depends on the law is written. But I mean, I imagine that. They can already opt in. So I imagine if there's a new bill coming,
I think they're just taking away the option. They're just saying no. Every town has to have this, and that's it.
Yeah,
that's what they're doing.
But I haven't read it, so I'm not sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the two accomplishments, and one's already overwritten by the state, and the next, and another one is likely coming. Yeah. And that is, that majority, the controlling majority of the council in this session that's about to end at the end of the year is just expanded in the next one. So there's no reason to think that they're going to get,
Right. It's expanded by another vote. And, frankly, the only, and this is not to say anything, who owns which sprinkler company? Oh, the one that's going to get the, that's great. There is a couple large sprinkler companies here in Worcester. So maybe we'll see if one of them gets a citywide deal, then you might have an idea. I was going to say this though. There's not a lot of counselors that actually write any ordinances. In fact, there's only been a handful that have been written by counselors that have gone from a counselor to committee, from committee back out to the floor, voted on the floor, passed on to the city manager. That doesn't happen in the city of Worcester. Hasn't happened in a very long time. And in the case of the ones that they didn't go through that process. The city manager ended up writing them because the city manager's attorney has somehow rewrote the rules of the charter without ever voting on it to take the power away from the city council's actual job, which is to write and pass legislation that leads to municipal ordinances. But they don't do that anymore. So even when they say these are the things we want to accomplish, what they're saying is these are the things we're going to pass on to the city manager's office to accomplish, because they're not going to do anything.
So when they do that, though, when they ask for an ordinance, they stake out some positions that they want in it.
Yeah.
But when the city solicitor comes back and says, okay, well, this is what we could do legally, they just go, okay. And there's no alternative. There's no other look at it. There's no,
Right.
It's we'll just keep the unitary government moving forward.
Yeah.
There's no conflict here because that would be uncouth. That would be bad decorum if we actually had differences. It's
right.
not government. It's not government. It's a country club.
If we question anybody, and then the other thing about it is and I get it, it's a part-time job. They don't have an attorney, but I will say this, and I've been highly critical of the city manager, but the last two budgets, he provided in the budget money for them to have an attorney. Back-to-back budgets now, there was money, allocated that they could have used, and it did come up on the floor thanks to our lovely leader here, Tom Marino, because Tom pointed it out multiple times on the floor. Hey, you can hire your own attorney, and no counselor brought that up as an issue and asked.
I think it's put in order for a report on cost and all that. Yeah, cost and all that, which they'll just never bring back because they don't want them to have an attorney because they want to control everything.
That's right.
And the majority of the council also doesn't want an attorney because they want the manager to control everything.
So then there's no, again, and I'm not trying to discredit Attell's order that she did, but that was 3 budgets ago, right? And then
I think it was a couple months ago. I think she did it again.
She did it again I don't remember that, but that's okay.
Yeah. So she has to report on cost and all that, which is the first step to right. Which is I think they voted for the report, but that's like the first step in their the makeshift system that they have, and of course, but let's be honest, like the mayor picks which reports come back,
and so that's the other thing. That's the other thing. We have this kind of like quasi secret conversation, and the mayor tells the city manager which reports he wants to come to the floor, because and the city clerk says it all the time. The chairman runs the agenda. He runs the agenda. He enforces the rules. It's up to him how he wants to do things, and so that's what you're really dealing with. And so it's not really a functional government. It's really just one person. We don't really have our vote doesn't matter in the city. It truly doesn't. Other than that,
that's too much. Because look, if the balance of power in council was different, the city manager's offices would behave differently.
Maybe.
They would.
I don't know if they would. Have they ever?
Well, they've never had. It's always been the same people in power.
That's what I'm saying. So the vote doesn't matter then, because the vote is the same all the time, because only 10% of the population votes. And so since
20, but.
No, 20% of the electorate votes, but of the population of the city, it's only 10% of the population of the city. And and by the way, that's by design. That's by design. Voter apathy and voter disengagement from the local process I believe, was a designed plan to get people not to participate. And then you have a very small group of people that control the city government and have for decades. This is not something that just started the other day. You know what I mean?
No, I mean, well, look, why do we have 6 at-large councilors in 5 districts? We have districts that the next largest city behind Massachusetts, of course, Springfield, which only has 50,000 less people. Yet our districts are twice as large as theirs. Why? Because we have 6 at-large councilors. We have 2 less councilors, first of all, and then 6 at-large councilors.
Right.
Nobody else has more at-large councilors. There's less caveat. Cambridge, I think, has only at-large councilors. There's some places that only have at-large councilors. But of cities that have districts, nobody has more at-large than districts, except for where? City of Worcester.
Cambridge is also a very small city. It's only 1 square mile. It's a very, very small city. It has a significant population because of some of the organizations based there, like Harvard and other
MIT,
and MIT, right? So its population, based on land mass, is very small. So the part of the reason why they did all at larges is because they didn't want the schools to have as much influence over the city council as they used to at one point, right? Because then like someone would be a Harvard city councilor and then someone would be an MIT. They didn't want that, and so they made it all at large back in the day. But no, I agree with everything you just said. It's spot on. It would be better off if we had this more neighborhood representation, and then maybe we would see people engage. I will say this: you can actually look into the District 4 race this year, and you can see that Louis Ojeda increased the engagement in that race, and he won by an impressive margin, right? More than doubling his opponent, which is that's a huge win in any jurisdiction. Winning by doubling your opponent is significant, right? that's a lot. But he got more people to turn out since Sarai Rivera's first election, which was 12 years ago, right? So that's a big turnaround for District 4, which for the last 10 of those years up until this last election was often the district in the state that was the lowest actual voter participation, and it was still only like 8.5%, which is just really, really wild. But so what I'm saying is that shows that it could be done, right? That like there could be engagement when there's a neighborhood presence versus an at-large presence. You could see potentially neighborhoods engaging more if there was more district councilors that were kind of required, I guess, to be in those neighborhoods because of the way that the districts were split up.
And I didn't realize that Cambridge is this small, but it is. I don't know if I think it's 7.1 square miles.
Okay, yeah, sorry. I said, what I say, 1? I think I said 1.
1 is one of those, but 7 square miles, 7.1 square miles, 145,000 people. Worcester is about 38.5 square miles, and as we know, 207 or whatever they're saying now.
So they're
population density is a little different there.
And remember, there's several really, really, really rich. There's really, really rich neighborhoods in Cambridge. Yeah, I know. Sav, I misspoke on the 1 square mile, and Tom fact checked me live, so that's what we do here on This Week in Worcester. Thanks for participating. But there's several really rich neighborhoods in Cambridge whose population density is almost nothing, right? There's like big giant mansions and with very like a lot of land in between. So if you take those neighborhoods out, the population density is even crazier, like around Harvard Square and stuff like that. There's like really, really heavy. And obviously the colleges, their populations are significant too.
Oh wow, 18.5 per square mile. Good Lord.
That's really high.
Yeah.
What's our population density?
I forget. I should know. I've looked at it a million times, but I don't remember. 5,500. So yeah, slightly different population density there in Cambridge. So anyway, that really went off the rails. We went well out of the city council agenda.
We were talking about at large versus district, and then and of course I said the wrong number. So, but that's okay. That's what we're here to make sure we say just the facts, straight facts.
Yeah, I didn't think you meant one, but I was like,
No,
oh,
I just yeah,
it's
just
smaller than I thought it was. That's for sure.
yeah.
The Pleasant Street redesign.
Oh,
This is
Pleasant Street
obviously going to be an absolute land war.
So okay, so a couple different things. One, first of all, the Mass DOT had the meeting planned for last Wednesday night at 6:00. The DOT had it planned for some time, but the rollout and the communication to the neighborhoods and to the people is abjectly dismal by the state. They don't want people to attend these meetings. They really don't. They make no effort to engage the population. And so I would say that the people that went and attended the meeting, the vast majority of people that I've spoken to, they had never heard about this project. Okay, the vast majority. Okay, there are two groups that had heard about it, and that's the group, Walk Bike Worcester. They are very kind of pro biking and bike lanes in the city of Worcester. And then there's another group of people. They don't really have an organization that's anti-bike lanes. So those two groups were represented well at the meeting. And the hand count that I have is that 22 people spoke, 13 people were positively on the side of the bike lanes, and 9 people were very vehemently against the bike lanes. And that the 9 people that are against the bike lanes were particularly abusive when other people were speaking. Okay, which is consistent if you go back to the other public meetings that I've attended over the last couple of years. So the Mill Street stuff and the stuff related to the double rotary in front of Worcester State. All right, so those are kind of like the 3 super major redesigns. And then of course the Chandler Street one, which of course I live on Irving Street, and so that one is another one that's coming up. All kind of connected to Worcester Now Next, right? That program. It's like a big expansion. Some are state programs and some are local. This one is a state-led project that's going to take the section of Pleasant Street, so not where the rotary, after the rotary, going up to and originally they reported as the Paxton border, which was really interesting because you'd have to go like over the woods or whatever. So it basically up to Holden. No, not to Holden, up to Paxton, not to Holden. I switched it. And they're going to add that bike lane, not like the one on Mill Street, but like the one on Stafford Street. So they're going to widen it, and it's going to be off the sidewalk. Now, if you know anything about that section, and this is from people who live there, they've never fixed the sidewalks all the way in that section of Pleasant Street. And so people are frustrated with the city that they've never really fixed that street all the way anyways, especially in the corridor where the businesses are, right? So there's a bunch of small businesses after Worcester State, and those sidewalks are not in great shape. They haven't been in great shape for a long time. The city says that the reason that they're going with this design, or that they've accepted this design from the state, is that they'll get the money then to fix the sidewalks. That's part of what they've proposed. Okay, couple things. My issue with this, the people. Okay, so yeah, I'll answer those in my response, Saf. So I would say that I said that there's two groups of people that aren't necessarily from the Pleasant Street neighborhood that were arguing at this meeting, right? So like Pleasant Street neighborhood kind of found out about this all in the last couple weeks, and they were frustrated because there's no communication from the state and there's no communication really from the city. Most people in the anti-bike lane group blame Attell for that, and then the people who are in the pro bike lane group blame the city manager for that. I don't know that it's either Attell's responsibility or the city manager's responsibility, although I would say that both people, the district councilor and the city manager, should be promoting these public meetings. But realistically, the responsibility lies with Mass DOT, not with the city. And they really don't. They still publish notices in the newspaper who nobody reads anymore. Although the state is more than welcome. I would say this. I know that someone from the DOT knew I was going to talk about this, Tom, and so they're watching us right now. I would say to the Mass DOT representative, if you would like to buy space on the This Week in Worcester website, make these announcements more prevalent because of all of our viewers, 13,000 plus members on the Facebook page, we'll be happy to take your money that you give to the TNG and nobody reads. As you saw in the meeting last Wednesday, nobody reads the Telegram and Gazette. The question comes down to the design, Tom, and I just don't know that the people making the design choices are interacting with the neighborhood. I get it that there's state like standards, but you gotta know the neighborhood to understand where the bike lane should be or not, right? It goes back to the Mill Street design, and most people, even the people who are pro-bike, wanted there to be a bike lane inside the sidewalk. So you kind of move the sidewalk over, that it becomes a protected or raised bike lane that's separate from the street. That's way more expensive than just painting lines on the road. It's just way more expensive to do the raised sidewalk thing. The thing is that then the city doesn't have the political will to push for the thing that would really make the most safety. Now, on the hill part of that road, there is a partial bike lane that's there where several people have been harmed because it's kind of like it narrows down, right? So part of this plan is it's supposed to expand and have it be the same width all the way down. But again, it's uphill. And there's people coming down the hill. And so it's going to be really an interesting, dynamic because it already crashes there on a regular basis. It's one and if you go back earlier this year when in the traffic and parking debate, it really truly, Tom, doesn't really make a lot of sense, the whole process, other than someone made a decision and they didn't really engage. So I would say that the neighborhood really engaged last week, even though there wasn't a ton of people. And I do wish the people that hate each other would just not go to the meetings. Like they really don't like each other at all. And so then there's no real opportunity for people to talk. And so I hope the state heard what it is. I think that they're interested, that the media is starting to cover it. And then Tom and I are working on a series of stories about some of these projects. But again, our shop is just me and Tom. So it's really hard sometimes to get the information. Some people have given me information, but it's not always all of it. And then it's hard to get it all from the city because it's a state project in this particular case. And the state records process is just as difficult as the city records process to really work out. It is. But in the end, it turns out to be a communication issue, in my opinion. They just don't know how to talk about these projects, and they don't engage the people who live in the neighborhoods, and that's really to their detriment.
Well, I mean, but the thing is they don't have to listen to it, right? So I don't know that it is really in their detriment because they don't have to.
Now, I will say this. I think that Council Attell did engage with some of the people in the neighborhood, and then the city did engage with some of the people in the neighborhood. Engaging with all of the people in the neighborhood, I think, is a standard that people are asking for that's impossible to enforce.
Yeah.
Because people aren't home all at the same time, and people don't answer the phone or their emails or their text or this other thing. There's also a group of people that hate Attell. Whether that has any real value or not, I don't know. But when she's gone, people have like yelled at her and told her to leave their property. So she's going to ask them about the street, and then they're like, go screw, right? And so I don't know if that helps. You know what I mean? Same thing with the city manager. And again, everybody says that I'm really hard on the city manager. But in this case, the city manager's team did go out and engage with neighborhood people. And what ended up happening is they rejected and didn't listen to them and didn't engage. And so it's like, no. And I understand when you say too little, too late. I would say that this project has been being talked about for 4 years, not the other day. It's just that it became public as far as the state level just in the last few weeks. That's really something that I have to blame. I put the majority of the blame on the state. I do give some blame to the city and some blame to the district councilor. But again, I also give some blame to the people because there really isn't a lot of proactive engagement in our city. It's just not there, and again, Tom and I are two people. We can't go to every meeting. You know what I mean? Some of the information, like Victor Cruz, he goes to a lot of the public meetings. Guy does cruise contracting. Great guy, a lot of community service in the city. And so sometimes he goes to meetings that I don't go to. and then he'll report on the meeting on his Facebook page, and I'll go read his thing, and then all the people that went, and that's where I get some information from, is folks like that, or Echo, or Maria, and all the folks that go to all the meetings, Janine, Natalie, like those folks are invaluable to us as media because they attend everything, and we can't get to. And so sometimes these stories just, they fall through the cracks. And I'm sorry. I wish Tom and I had paid staff and interns all the time and we could send them to everything, but we can't. We just can't.
Well, and I think there's people too, like, look, people shouldn't have to come to your house to tell you that things are going on. Like, look.
Now they did though.
If you care, look.
Yeah. They did actually go to people's houses. And so now again, if you go to the Worcester Now Next thing, this goes to Harvard Dropout's point, that was a few years ago. So maybe they engaged with people a couple years ago, and then they just started re-engaging with people recently. And so I get that frustration. That's a valid point. And I don't know how to make it better other than maybe what we were talking about earlier in the show, which is more district counselors. And because the districts that the people have are so big, they're huge. You know what I mean?
Huge.
You're huge. And I won't take your information, Fred, because you lie so much. Sorry, buddy. I don't know what to tell you. You just don't tell the truth. And so obviously, districts in Boston are much bigger because they have 679,000 people or so, or 650,000 people. But the Boston City Council also has a staff of over 100. And they're full time. These are part-time counselors with no staff, and so how are they? And then they have much. They don't have much larger districts. They're all the same size. All 5 are the same size, but they do have a lot of people to talk to. And there's a big political divide in the city. There really truly is. There is a political divide, and some people who are pro one counselor or one result won't talk to the other side. And so what are you going to do?
Yeah, and. What do you think? Like, what would you think if you didn't know any better? What would you think that the budget for the Worcester City Council is? You think it's like this isn't like 0.5%, half of 1%, 0.5% of the overall operations budget. Doesn't that seem like it'd be reasonable?
So to me, it should be like, we've talked about this hypothetically before. Like, it at least should be something equivalent to like the city manager's like primary office expenditures, not the whole cabinet, but like the city manager, his like secretary, like his main group, and it's not even that. It's not even. Yeah. So I did read that article, Sav. I appreciate that. Although they did get in the initial reporting, they got which town it goes to incorrect in their initial report or in their initial headline. I think they've changed it since. Their audience number, this is going just by them alone. People just don't read the newspaper. They read the headlines and they don't actually read the articles, is what their own statistics say.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, happens to us too at This Week in Worcester. A lot of people read the headlines, go on our Facebook page and argue with the headline without ever having read the article.
Right.
It happens to us literally every day. So it's normal in today's parlance that the headline becomes the story in a lot of ways.
But again, so I mean, what do you just like as a percentage? What do you think would make sense? Like just to the city council budget, right?
It should be a couple percent, I guess, of the overall operation.
That's probably high. But anyway, nonetheless, this is a year before. This is fiscal year 25. So that would be the fiscal year that ended in June, at the end of June.
Okay.
It was 0.09% of the operations budget.
That's very low. That seems low.
It's weird because the mayor's budgeted separately because he actually has staff. He has a 2-person staff. But overall, $828,000 for the entire city government. I mean, for the entire city council, including their salaries, right? That's all their stuff. In Cambridge, which actually has a larger budget, because I mean, look, it's a much richer.
Their tax base is much bigger than ours. Yeah.
Right. In last year's numbers, not the year we're in last fiscal year, it was Worcester was $893 million, Cambridge was $955 million. Their city council budget was over 0.25%. So
Right.
19, 20, more than three times larger as a percentage. Never mind in real dollars, as a percentage. So but they don't want it. They don't want the money. They don't want resources because they don't want to do stuff.
Yeah, because then they would. I mean, again, a full-time city council. I think that there's several. I'm not going to pick on anybody in particular because I feel like that'll just be used against us. But I would say there's several councilors on the council right now that if it was a full-time job, they wouldn't be able to fulfill their duties, and so they wouldn't even be a part of city government. And so then it forces you to ask the question, why are you involved in city government at all? If part of your thought process is, I'm only doing this because it's a part-time gig. That's it. And I will say this, there are counselors who have lived as if it's a full-time job.
Absolutely.
100 and
district council. Look, and being a district councilor is no joke. Okay. It is
and
no
I will
joke.
say this is on both sides of the political divide. It's not just, I'm not going to just say someone who I like does it, because that's not the case. Several of the district councilors have been very involved in their neighborhoods. But again, this goes to this conversation about this neighborhood meeting. There was people that were there that had never heard about this redesign. Literally, they found out about it like a day before, and they've lived in the neighborhood their whole lives. They've never even met their district councilor before. And I've lived in Worcester for a long time. I believe them. I believe them when they say that, because we're asking a part-time person to cover tens of thousands of people, and
over 40,000,
and with no staff. And so we're asking for too much, realistically. Just be realistic. Your own job. If you worked a full-time job and then you came back and then you had a part-time job where people just complain to you all the time, which is realistically what the district council's job is, how effective can you be, unless you're a saint, right? Or you're just a perfect human. You can't be a perfect, Thanks, Saf. Thanks for coming. Share it. We're a small-time operation, and so we can always use the support, and anybody's willing to share. Thank you very much for coming.
So Springfield has 8 district councilors at like 160,000 or something. So I forget exactly what their population is, but it brings it down to under 20,000 at the last, every 10-year census is what it's based on. So based on that, it was just under 20,000, and we have just over 40,000 every district.
Right.
It's stupid.
It is. We need again. Not everybody agrees with us, but I think we need a different version of government, especially moving forward, where the nation as a country, we are moving towards more of as we've heard during this last election season, customer service oriented municipal government that provides specific services through the municipal governments. And if that kind of portfolio expands, you're going to need more engaged, more trained, and more professional municipal elected leaders. And right now, the way that it's set up, it's really going to be difficult to do, to engage on certain technologies. You're going to have a lot of elected officials who just don't know what they're talking about. Like what happened with the drone thing. The reason that Tom and I even knew about the drone thing is because we've been writing about it for 5 years now. And then we were engaged. And of course, as soon as someone said something crazy, which turned out to be our city manager, which was AI released drones, that got us in. Like, what are they even talking about? Like, what is he saying?
Yeah, it's not a thing, dude. That's not a thing.
It's not even a thing. So then, but that was just us paying attention. The Telegram and Gazette didn't really write about it, or our other competitors, because they also are covering different things too. I don't want to just say that they do bad. I'm not saying they're doing bad. The TNG staff has been reduced by, some insane number. Remember, it used to take up 2 buildings when I was a kid. It was 2 different newspapers that took up half of downtown. And now we have like one half of one floor in one building. It's like, man, it's a small operation over there. And they're sharing space with Worcester Magazine. So it's not like, they just don't have a huge staff to cover things. They just don't, all the media places are very, very small, very, very small.
Yeah. And I mean, I could go on and on. I've been doing a lot of charter research recently, and like the number of things that we don't do that are done in many other cities is crazy. crazy. Just in
What, like,
reporting and like
the media does?
policy required reporting on a whole host of things. And I'm not even talking about like budget and all that. They do all that, but I mean, like, you know, what, like, well, at least maybe we just don't see it, which is another problem. But like, there's no, for example, just alone staffing alone. There's no long term vision of staffing.
Right.
And what about like a skills gap report? Like,
Yeah.
where are we lacking? I don't know if anybody knows. Maybe they do.
A perfect example is the Alert Worcester system is still down. Still down.
Well, that's not on them.
No, it's not their fault. But the thing is how are they supposed to get that information out to people? It's would they again? It's not just a skills gap, Tom. It's an operational capacity gap. What does the city need that we don't even think about? And we complain about money, and I'm not saying that I want to spend money on every like technology that comes down the pike, but a perfect example, the school committee is talking about some AI related learning tools, and it turns out that several of those companies have already been involved with leaking data online of children's information. And it's like, how is the school committee supposed to know that? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. But the thing is that the superintendent's job? Is that whose job?
So the school committee weirdly has much more power than the city council.
It does. Yeah. And so that's the thing, though, is that whose responsibility is that? Is that assigned to a specific counselor? Committee member? I know they know because I've complained about it. I have been in heavy contact with the school committee over those two companies. But not only that, though, it's not just the school committee. At one recent city council meeting, Peter Dunn got up there and he talked about downtown Worcester business improvement district hiring Placer.ai. Placer.ai is a walk tracking system that uses your cell phone's location data to tell them where people are walking along the streets. Placer AI was involved in one of the largest data breaches in the history of the world, where information was leaked to the Israeli military. Right, so it's a huge data breach, not just like a little baby one. It's a huge data breach, and the response if you go online and look this up on Placer.ai's website, their response is we put in new procedures to deal with it.
Yeah. Even though all our customer information has been leaked. I don't know if it was all of it, but right. Look, that was similar to what happened with, I forget the name of the company now, but the company that does that built the app that they use for Alert Worcester, right? And a bunch of cities use it. It's certainly not just Worcester, but they were the victim of what do you call it?
A ransomware attack.
Yeah, ransomware attack.
Someone clicked on a link in their stack.
Yeah.
That just
and they tried to negotiate and didn't get anywhere. And so they're rebuilding that system from scratch because they have to
get rid of all
somebody else literally owns it.
Yeah.
And it was a legacy system, and it's old and whatever. That's probably why it fell victim to attack. But they're apparently building it from the ground up again. Obviously on a newer tech stack, and to make it obviously so it can be prevented, these type of attacks, and get their system back up. But it's been a week and a half, something like
weeks now. And you guys can check out that article. Tom put that article up just about like the day after it happened, two weeks ago.
Yeah, it should still be on the homepage.
Yeah, it should still be up on the website. But that company that does that that kind of municipal alert system, I think in your article it says something like, there's like thousands and thousands of municipalities that rely on that one company. So
I don't know if it's that many, but it's a lot. Yeah.
So when someone goes down, it like affects a lot of people all at once.
Yeah.
The issue with the website, right? The issues with the website where there's what's his name? Todd Carrain. Todd Carrain's the IT guy for Worcester, right? So Todd, he explained what happened. The city clerk's office has two different kinds of websites. The city itself has one kind of website, and then it has another behind the doors thing that is for the city staff to be like, doing their thing. So there's really 4 websites being integrated into one online portal, and the contractor for the clerk's website and the contractor for the city, they didn't really mesh well. So now they have to find one contractor that can do all 4 jobs.
Well, that's the new system they have for tracking the agenda and whatnot. Yeah.
Which, by the way, this is not to take away criticism from them. They did a poor job of vetting this. No, I might be saying the wrong person. I thought it was Todd Corain. I
don't know.
It doesn't matter. But it's whoever the IT guy is. But he did explain on the city council floor that they had this integration issue. Now, I'm not an IT guy. I'm not going to pretend to do it. I mean, I am probably for like the older people in my family, like, restart, that kind of stuff. But like real modern IT involves a huge amount of infrastructure work. And it makes sense that the city of Worcester would be something that like you would get bad actors maybe who would attack their website or something like that. But they had a legacy portal that used to exist for like real estate agents and pulling permits and all that other stuff. That was actually really good. And it's sometimes one of those issues where it's like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Well, they totally fixed something that was not broken, and now it's broken and not functional. A lot of people don't like it.
Well, I mean, yeah, they had to get out of that that old system they had, obviously, for the agenda stuff. But I mean, look, that's a lot of people use that product that they used. But the lack of a web-based display of the agenda, you got to download a PDF every time, just irritates the hell out of me.
Yeah, and every other place that we can, I mean, there's other towns around, like Auburn and Shrewsbury, whose websites are just super simple and easy to engage with. And so it's,
and in their defense on that, though, I mean, most towns do post their agenda as a PDF.
Right.
But I mean, it just wasn't, we always had the web layout. And, then you can read it and then click on, if you look at the agenda, you're most likely going to look at documents. You're going to open PDFs anyway.
Right.
But like, to open a PDF to
open a PDF to open another PDF. Yeah, it's always
9 more. And it's like
and I think eventually, like just like anything, I mean, you want it to just be as efficient as possible, because that's probably a person somewhere in that department that's handling that. Like you don't want to waste money on that person, right? Like you want them putting out fires. You kind of want something that just maintains itself and doesn't, you know what I mean? And by the way, I know there's been a ton of cities that have had trouble with AI-based platforms that have like failed to do the right thing. And so like, especially the search functions and the chat bots with a lot of these things, they're not as good as people thought they would be. And so now they have to like redo it and start over or reach the same thing the city's dealing with right now, and pay more money, by the way. And pay more money. It always ends up costing the taxpayers more money.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know what I thought of. You know what I think of every time you say that.
I do.
And lastly, certain set of limits for one certain department. Lastly, you wrote a piece on that was kind of optimistic about the Netflix purchase of Warner Brothers, or acquisition of Warner Brothers. And I know you've been catching some flack over it, so I just wanted to let you address it. I don't know that I bought your argument, to be honest, but
sure. So okay, so long story short, Warner Brothers. Okay, to tell the whole story is that the guy who is the CEO of Warner Brothers, David Zaslav, made a decision when he was first kind of put in that position, because he'd been part of the company for a while, but now he's like the boss, right? He made a decision about 5 years ago in relation to the animation division of Warner Brothers, which, by the way, at the time was probably the most profitable in any entertainment division. That was like, they put out like all the Superman and Batman cartoons, and like they did a lot of that stuff, and people love that. Teen Titans, and there's huge audiences for that product that people don't realize. But anyways, that led to a series of things, and Warner Brothers got in a lot of trouble. They also tried to build this big project out in Las Vegas that was supposed to be a fully functional AI studio that basically you could walk in and voice prompt a movie in a giant green blue screen room. And they spent a ton of money, billions of dollars on it, and it failed because it's not the technology is not quite there yet for commercial applications. So anyways, they're like $56 billion in debt at the time. So then their board talked about looking for people to buy Warner Bros. Okay, so then initially the leading person that was going to buy Warner Brothers was Paramount. And if you know anything about the industry, Paramount just got bought by Skydance, right? See, Sam knows what I'm talking about. Teen Titans was the Teen Titans is one of the greatest things of all time. I don't care, kid, adult, it's so good. Teen Titans is the best. All right, so the Ellison family owns Skydance. What Skydance is like they're like a financing company that like produces a lot of movies, does a lot of distribution. They do a lot of entertainment kind of exchange contract and stuff. So they purchased Paramount because Paramount was also in a lot of trouble. a lot of trouble. So long story short, that happened. And then they immediately pivoted to start talking about buying Warner Brothers. And Netflix last week came out of nowhere, completely shocked the world, and offered $82 billion to buy Warner Brothers. And the Warner Brothers board voted on it. I'm a shareholder of Warner Brothers. I have one share. I have one share of several companies, several companies around the place because I like to keep track of the information. And the information came down. It's a mostly cash deal, part stock, whatever. And then Netflix promised to continue putting in theaters the Warner Brothers movies, right? So they're going to keep putting them out. And of course, everybody's afraid in my industry, in the film industry, that Warner Brothers will stop putting their movies in theaters and they're just going to shift everything to streaming, which would then hurt theaters and then hurt the overall industry. I disagree. And here's why I disagree. And this is what I got the pushback on. What's happening is that the film industry for a century was focused in one city, literally one city in the world, and that was Los Angeles. Since the late 2000s, that has started to shift. So Atlanta became a hub for entertainment. New York obviously always had a lot of TV stuff, but wasn't necessarily, the movies were still produced in LA, but shot sometimes in New York. Vancouver, Toronto, and even here in New England, there's been a lot of movies that have been made up here. And then now there's some international film hubs like London and, there's places in India and in China where people make a lot of movies. And so Los Angeles has not been happy about that because everybody moved. I mean, that's the story, right? You move out to LA to make movies, right? That's how it's always gone. And so they're not really happy. A lot of the unions are out there. A lot of the companies are out there. And it's changing. We're in the middle of a changing world, okay? At the same time, after COVID, what happened was there was already a decline in ticket sales worldwide. It had been happening since the mid-90s, right? There was a peak, and then it started to go down. But instead of normal market practices, Tom, what happens when there's less demand, Tom? What do you normally do? You lower prices.
Right.
That's not what happened. Hollywood ticket prices have gone up every single year since 1996, but the ticket demand has dropped. So they have done the backwards thing for market demand. And what's happened is most people in the world now have shifted to watching their movies on their phones, on their computers, on their TVs, in some form of streaming, right? That's what's happened in the world. Netflix does produce movies, but they usually release them to their own platform, except for a few that they release because they want to win Oscars, right? So because the Oscars have rules, you have to it has to have a limited amount of days, all that kind of stuff. As an independent film producer, I own Hollywood Film Group. I'm the president there. And I believe that this is going to allow locally for us to build up an infrastructure here in New England that makes New England-based movies. And it's going to reduce other projects that come here and use this place as a replacement for the places they can't afford anymore, like New York City. Currently, Dead City is filming in Worcester. It's been filming here all year. And the reason why Dead City is filming here is because we're cheap. We're cheap. 100% cheap. We're cheaper than Boston. We're cheaper than Connecticut. We're cheaper than New York City by a mile. And so they're filming here because that's why they're here. And then of course our city's been very accommodating to them. In fact, actually tomorrow, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, half of downtown is closed. So please don't go to City Hall tomorrow because you will not get there. Don't even try. So my thought process is that it's an opportunity, Tom. It's an opportunity for us to make stuff and to get them into theaters. Because you know what theaters are going to need? More movies. Because Netflix isn't going to make as many Warner Brothers movies. They're just not. On top of all of this, Warner Brothers has made a bunch of really bad movies that have failed. Like really, really, really bad mistakes that they've made. And so those mistakes take a lot of time to overcome, because when you see the amount of money like a movie makes, like for example, Superman, which, you know, generally speaking, everybody kind of likes that new Superman. There's a lot of people who are against it that are like Zack Snyder guys, but Superman made a lot of money, right? You see it worldwide, it made like $600 million. How much of that, Tom, do you think goes back to the studio?
Oh, pennies on the dollar, I'm sure.
So generally speaking, the big studios, they get half. So it's 50-50, right? So the theaters keep 50, the big studios keep 50. A guy like me, I'm not going to get 50% because I don't have that kind of power. I just don't. I'm not going to pretend that I do. I make small movies. Our budgets are very small. By the way, if anybody wants to invest in film, get a hold of me and I can show you how to invest in film. We have a process of small investments that return money to people, so you can make some money back. But it's not $50 million, right? We don't have that kind of budget. It's just not going to happen. So then what you do is you sell the movie into the theaters. It gets some ticket sales there. You make a little bit of money back. And then from there, you sell it into streaming or DVDs, blah, 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 blah. That's how they make their money. But what Warner Brothers has that nobody else has is legacy IP that they own. They own everything. 14%, Fiona, is the return. But it's 18 months. The investment is a minimum of $10,000, and you get back 14% after 18 months. They own Harry Potter. They own all the DC, movies. That kind of stuff is going to be housed under the same roof as Netflix. And so people are scared that just means they're going to streamline everything and it's just going to be streaming all the time. HBO Max, blah, 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 blah. And the fact is that I don't think that. I'm delusional, Tom, but I'm also delusional for you, because I believe this newspaper, this small little operation, me and Tom sitting here in our offices, batting down the walls of Worcester politics, that we can make a difference through hard work and positive attitudes. Even though, by the way, our work sucks. It sucks to have to deal with the city. It sucks to have to deal with the police unions. It sucks. It's totally horrible. But you want to know what? I believe in what we're doing. And because I believe in it, I'm willing to run through the wall. When it comes to the movie stuff, it's the same thing, guys. I believe I can control myself. That means I can work hard. And if I work hard, right, no one else can affect me, right? I can't control other people, but I can control myself. And so my partners in the film group is Leanne Sylvia, and some of you guys know Leanne. Leanne's the smartest person when it comes to numbers I've ever met in my life. So she handles all the bookkeeping, so I don't have to deal with all that. And then Tommy Dwyer, he's a local director from Worcester who loves the area like I do, and he's a dynamic writer, and he helps me get the movies financed. And so that's really where it comes down to. The movie Tom asked about at the beginning, the Burning Down the House, that project came from Tommy and I getting into a local newspaper and also This Week in Worcester. And someone read an article about us talking about making movies, and they were like, hey, you make movies in Worcester? And they gave us a budget, for the Burning Down the House. It's because they saw us doing local media like this. So I think it's an effective tool. It doesn't mean I'm going to have $100 million budget, right? I don't know that that's going to happen anytime soon. But you know what I can do? I can do 50,000 and then 100,000 and then $250,000 and then yada, yada, yada. I can do that over time if I approach it with a positive attitude. But the flack that I'm getting, Tom, is from the local movie industry, because everybody's just like, oh, the world is ending. Oh, no more Netflix. Oh, my goodness. Netflix is the worst. And my whole concept is that, do you guys remember back in the year 2000 when AOL Time Warner was the same thing as Netflix? They bought up everybody and they were just going to ruin the world. You know what happened to AOL Time Warner, Tom? They don't exist anymore because they screwed it up. Because when you're dealing with stuff at that level, it's really hard to stay on top, folks. It is really, really hard. I'll point you to airlines, massive companies. It takes a lot. Banks, right? As much as the banking crisis, you remember the too big to fail? A lot of those banks are gone, folks. They failed. They're gone. They don't exist. Even with the government propping them up, car companies, you cannot survive if you make terrible financial decisions for decades and decades and decades. And that's what's really happened with Warner Brothers. And so, you can't be $56 billion in debt and not have someone want you to pay. It just doesn't happen. So I think it's an opportunity for me. Burning Down the House will be in the movie theaters. We're going to do a theatrical run first, and it's going to premiere locally here in Worcester. That's our commitment to the area. And it's going to be at least in Showcase Cinemas. We have a kind of a deal in place with Showcase Cinemas that are owned by a company called National Amusements, but a lot of their movie theaters are here locally in New England. There's one at the Blackstone Valley Plaza. So the movie will be there. And then hopefully I can get it into some other theaters. That takes a lot of work and a lot of negotiation to get them to let you put your movie there. Usually it means you have to spend some money in advertising. And so that's why when I said the 50-50 deal doesn't happen for the small guy, that's because we have to pay for the advertising to really make the movie get out there. And then the rest of it's just straight up willpower and enthusiasm, baby. It's just me just blindly going as far as I can. And I got friends like Tom Marino, and I got Manny Alvarado, I got Tommy Dwyer, I got Leanne. You know, you got C and Maria, Fianna, and you got people that support this idea. Gino is in the chat, right? That kind of group that supports us gives us the opportunity for us to grow and maybe make movies happen. So that's the whole premise. And despite the fact that I've been attacked basically every day for the last month with a couple of my articles that I've written for you, you know, I actually feel like it means I'm doing something good. Like I'm just, you know, it is what it is, dude. Just got to put it out there and see what happens.
You know, if there's no incoming fire, it means nobody's firing at you, and that's not good.
That's true. That's true. It's called Burning Down the House, Sam. Burning Down the House. You can actually check it out on Facebook. It's Burning Down Doc on Facebook and Instagram. And the premiere will be sometime in the spring, and it will be right here in the city of Worcester. It's about the firehouse conditions in Massachusetts. The trailer will premiere right after the new year. We'll have the trailer out right around the new year.
Everybody's gonna have some news in January, aren't they?
Yeah. There's gonna be lots of news and a lot of fronts, Thomas. We're gonna get all kinds of stuff running around here in the city of Worcester.
Yeah.
Pay attention to the newspaper on the day of the inauguration, folks. Let me tell you that. Please pay attention. That cough's still lingering on here.
You still got Satan living inside you?
No, I mean I feel great, but it's been hard to kick the cough.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it should be an interesting first couple weeks of the year for sure.
Absolutely. And by the way, folks, what is it? Wait, next week's the 14th. So we got two more shows this year, right?
Yes. I see some people in the chat that attended a public meeting I had earlier this year, I think.
Yeah.
And you know, I just want to wink. News is coming.
Wink.
News is coming.
Gonna wink like that. By the way, I do want to say this. I know there's two more shows left this year, but we're super grateful, Tom and I, for you guys' support. We do hear about your support a lot now. So a lot of people bring the show up to us, and that's because you guys have been sharing and liking and doing all that stuff, and it's getting it out. It's out there. So we're super grateful for that, and hopefully we can continue to cover the wide range of stuff. And I mean, when someone asked me this question, how come you write about stuff like all over the place? Like I write about sports, I write about politics, I write about the police, I write about movies, and the answer is because Tom lets me. That's really the answer.
We're trying to do the news.
We're just doing the news, man, and we're just doing the best we can. I'm gonna have a little bit of tea, Sam, right after this show. But an hour 43 of talking with Tom it drags on a recovering esophagus.
For sure. So in closing, it's time for John's favorite part of the show.
And listen, now at this point, we're internationally known, Tom. Internationally known that this section is not my favorite section. It's worldwide. It's worldwide. Basically, this section is more popular than Pitbull. It really is at this point. It is worldwide section, and that is Tom's favorite things. That's when I ask Tom a question, and then he tells me things that he likes, right? We only have 2 shows left this year. So we got next week, and then we have the, if I can talk Tom into it, the 2nd annual TWIWI Awards. The I got him to do it last year, folks. So I got to talk him into it again. Everybody, DM Tom. Go in the chat right now and tell that you want the year-end This Week in Worcester Awards, the second year in a row, and where we talk about the winners and the losers for the city of Worcester. But this week, Tom, I did have a question that's related to the winter time. So when you do get sick, and we kind of already have some people kicking in ginger, lemon, honey tea. Tom, when you get sick, what do you do to overcome your symptoms here in New England? What do you do? Do you do anything? Do you take medicine? Do you take a special family recipe? How do you move forward when your body is wrecked from the colds here in New England?
Hibernate. I just sleep till it stops. I can do that.
So 2 weeks ago when I missed the show, that's exactly what I did. I was particularly on a Saturday. If everybody knows, that was the Saturday Manny was the on-field host for the Fenway game for Holy Cross. So I missed out on that. I went to bed Friday night and I did not wake up until Sunday morning. I slept straight through. And then I texted Tom. I did wake up for like a minute on Saturday and I was like, Tom, I can't do the show. And I was out. I was toast.
Yeah, no, I still, I mean, I knocking on wood, get I'm pretty fortunate with getting the cold. I'm still a NyQuil believer. What was it, Dennis Leary? It takes, it's okay to taste like shit because you pass out before you can taste it or something like that. But yeah, I'm a big NyQuil believer. But yeah, I basically just hibernate.
I'm a chicken soup guy all the way. Hot chicken soup, and for some reason, it convinces my brain that I'm getting better.
And there was a 2-day festival. I actually didn't find out about it until today because that's how out of the loop I am. It was a 2-day at the Boston Garden of all places. It was a toy drive and whatnot, and a rare appearance by the greatest band that's ever existed tonight. And I am here with you folks instead. So love me.
Which band is that? What's the greatest band in history? The Tom.
This was a question at one point. This was John's favorite part of the show question.
Is your favorite band? And I don't remember.
Blood for Blood.
Blood for Blood. Really? Is in New England tonight?
Well, wow. I mean, we're always in New England. They're from here, but yeah, they played this toy drive tonight. So
wow.
I just like to say, I turned my back on society, and society turned its back on me.
Well, I'm gonna try to maybe I'll reach out to their management. Maybe we can get them to come to the Dead of Winter Festival in February.
I don't think that there's management anymore. I think that yeah,
little too big for the old horror.
No, not big. They haven't been a thing for a while.
Yeah.
So apparently they're playing this special, and I didn't go. I was here with you folks. So love me.
By the way, I should put it in the chat. If you Festival. All right, I just threw it in the chat. If you in February 22nd and 23rd, the Dead of Winter Horror Festival, the third annual one, is back in the city of Worcester. I would recommend that you get your tickets as soon as possible. This is not a big event. We don't have like 1 million tickets. There's a cap on tickets. But get your tickets as soon as possible because we started announcing the guests for it over the last couple of weeks, and they're much bigger guests than we've had in the past. And there's going to be a movie premiere. I can't say yet until the 1st of January. I can't tell you, but I'm telling you when this is announced, the tickets are going to sell out because this person has a very particular audience who just goes to see his stuff. So I can give you an idea that it's related to the Terrifier franchise, but that's all I can say. So if you follow horror movies, it's in that world. And so get your tickets as soon as possible, folks. Now. I'll remind you.
Aren't you at a different venue this year?
Yeah, it's going to be at the AC Marriott, and it might spread to the DCU Center a little bit. But right now it's going to be in that ballroom at the AC Marriott, 1 floor instead of 2. because we had some issues last year with the double floors. Instead, we're going to be on one floor in the ballroom. And most people are really familiar with the AC Marriott. You know, Suzanne does her Christmas ball there. They do a lot of stuff there. It's a really big. It's like 12,000 square feet. It's a big giant room. So there'll be more room for vendors. A lot of local vendors. Bree will be there with her sweet treats. A bunch of local people will be there. I'll be there, obviously, and you can come see me. And yeah, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
Word.
Get your tickets now. Don't complain to me that you don't get your tickets. I don't want to hear it. And then we reduced the prices. Oh, that was the other thing. Everything's cheaper than last year. Single day passes are $20. Weekend passes are $40. The VIP package is $75, and it comes with a surprise.
Comes with a surprise.
And you will like it. I promise.
All right.
Yes.
I think that's all.
That's it,
folks.
Under 2 hours.
Yeah. I mean, we didn't even have any. Remember we were talking about, we don't even have anything.
And we end up talking for all this time.
So everyone have a fantastic week. We are here on Sunday nights at 8:35 to talk about the things. We will certainly talk about. I don't know if anything will happen at the city council meeting because there's not much going on. But nonetheless, and of course, read stuff at thisweekinworcester.com.
Read, share the articles, click on the links, go inside there and click on those ads and get us some dollars, folks. Come on.
Yeah, you can do that too.
Yeah, click on those ads. I know they're annoying, but click on them anyways.
So everybody have a good week. Stay warm. We'll see you next week and try to screw it up less next time.